Ever heard of the left-hand path of spirituality? Yeah, it's a tantric term, a field of spirituality that breaks all social taboos. Things that seem totally unacceptable to the mainstream social structure are completely normal in this path. In my opinion, it's just a matter of interpretation and different ways of seeing things. That's why menstrual blood, which is generally considered unholy, becomes a symbol of creation in Vamachara. Many people associate left-hand path with dangerous magical practices, but we won't focus on that. Instead, we'll talk about the ancient tradition of fertility cult and Yoni worship in India and the secrets associated with that. Eventually, we'll come to the Kamakhya temple of Assam, which is one of the most celebrated sites of goddess worship in India. The goddess cult is one of the very own aspects of Indian culture. It didn't come from anywhere else. Lingam and Yoni worship have been integral parts of ancient fertility cults. These practices started when ancient hunter-gatherers roamed in forests in search of food and came across stones with heavy iron content. They accidentally cut them and saw red fluid oozing out of those stones, which they identified as blood or menstrual blood. They started worshipping such stones as female creative energy. The Shakti cult places women at the top of everything. But why did the feminine creative energy take the center stage in the spiritual context? The reason is early nomadic people generally lived in matriarchal societies. They saw that women in their tribes invented agriculture. When they went hunting, women gathered food for the clan and ensured a steady flow of resources. They looked after domestic birds, animals, and fields. They gave birth to children and helped their clans to become more powerful. Therefore, women became very prominent figures in such primitive clans, and their creative energy started getting worshipped. Not only in India, but the fertility cult was also popular across the ancient world. Egyptians had their fertility figures such as Hathor, Amun, and Osiris. Mesopotamians worshipped Ishtar or Inanna as a fertility goddess. Ancient Israelites used to worship a fertility goddess named Asherah. In the case of India also, Lingam and Yoni worship was a primitive practice. Seals found in the IVC sites show that they used to worship a fertility goddess. Vegetation coming out of a goddess later gave birth to the concept of Shakambari. In the spiritual field, Lingam and Yoni don't carry any sexual connotations. Rather, they are believed to be sacred symbols of creation. While the Lingam represents the masculine energy of the universal father Lord Shiva, Yoni represents the feminine energy of the universal mother goddess Shakti. They are two faces of the Parambrahm. They unite or dissolve in cosmic non-duality and give birth to the entire creation. When it comes to the goddess, tantric practices become an important factor. The tantric worship of goddess Shakti became popular through Mahayana Buddhism during the 3rd to 5th century CE. Not only Buddhism, but the fertility cult is also influenced by diverse tribal cultures in India. How can we say that? Well, we all know that goddess Sati's corpse was the source of all Shakti Pithas. Now, if we look carefully, we'll see that most of the Shakti Pithas are placed near natural spots such as river valleys, mountains, seashores, etc. At the same time, in many cases, they are located in tribal areas. So, the tradition of goddess-centric spirituality can be a gift of the tribal people in India. We'll get to that later, but before that, let's talk about the Kamakhya temple in Assam, which is the center of goddess-centric spirituality. This temple was built around the 7th or 8th century CE. created by Mleccha dynasty and rebuilt by Koch king Naranarayan and Ahom kings. Kamakhya temple is one of the Shakti Pithas. It is said that the Yoni mudra or the female reproductive organ of the goddess fell down on the Nilachala hill. Currently, the Kamakhya Devi temple is also one of the major centers of Kulachara Tantra Marga, which is a mixture of Hindu, Buddhist, Dravidian and several indigenous traditions. In this Marga, there is no discrimination based on gender and caste. Devotees find this place full of feminine energy and divine powers. The goddess herself goes through the menstruation period during the month of Asar when the fertility festival Ambuwasi Puja takes place. During this time, the water of the river Brahmaputra near the temple turns red. This place celebrates the power of women, their fertility and their ability to create new lives. The name Kamrup also originated from goddess Kamakhya. Some sources claim that once Kamdeva was burnt into ashes by Lord Shiva. Even though his life was restored by Lord Shiva after that, his striking beauty couldn't be retrieved. So Kamdev and his wife Rati meditated for years to please the goddess. Being pleased with their efforts, the goddess gave him back his beautiful looks or rupa. Therefore, the area where the Kamakhya temple is located is known as Kamrup. If we look at the history of Kamakhya Devi temple, we'll see that it is influenced by three different traditions. Those are Vedic, Tantric and Tribal. Since the ancient ages, two distinct and parallel forms of worship have existed in India, Vedic and Tantric. While Vedic wisdom was mostly focused on male-centric social order, the Tantric part was more lenient towards fertility and matriarchy. According to some scholars, the origin of the Tantric cult in India can be traced back to the Indus Valley civilization. With time, Tantrism lost its prominence, but the tradition of goddess worship survived in iconographic forms such as Durga, Kali, Uma, Kamakhya, Tara, Chandi, Chamunda, Shakambari and so on. We can't ignore the Vedic influence as well. Kalika Purana tells about three different aspects of the goddess. Those are Shanta, Ugra and Kama. It also says the name Kamakhya means she who is desired, the desiring and also who grants desires. Some sources argue that probably the word Kamakhya is a corruption of the Sanskrit word Kamakshi. The Khasi tribe had a goddess named Kamakhya, which means the paternal grandmother. Another northeastern tribe, the Bodo tribe, had another goddess called Kamki or Kamakhya, which means victory to my mother. So the origin of goddess Kamakhya cannot be traced so easily. One speculation says before the Vedic civilization reached ancient Assam, this place was dwelt and influenced by the Kiratas. They practiced the Kirata Dharma. According to Ramayana and Mahabharata, the Kiratas were mountain dwellers. The ritualistic practices of Kiratas involved the consumption of alcohol and use of meat sometimes. Yogini Tantra confirms that they already started worshipping goddess Kamakhya. When the mytho-historical king Naraka invaded this land, Vedic culture and local tribal culture started amalgamating with each other, and goddess Kamakhya became a part of the Vedic traditions. Lingam and Yoni worship were also popular among another tribe called the Naga tribe. Some of the violent rituals associated with Yoni worship indicate that they come from very primitive tribal practices, probably older than those that I mentioned. As I said already, fertility cult, Lingam and Yoni worship were clearly a part of Indian culture since the ancient ages. And Kamakhya temple is one of the major centers of worshipping the fierce feminine energy. This place breaks all taboos. This is what I love about Indian culture. It is a pot where different opinions gather and melt down, but still they maintain their distinct identities. There is a place for all kinds of ideologies. It doesn't exclude anything. Hope you enjoyed this video. Then please do like, share and subscribe. Also leave a comment. See you later.